White Alba truffles are among the rarest foods that still depend almost entirely on nature. They grow underground near the roots of oak, hazel, poplar, and beech trees in the Piedmont region of northern Italy, especially around the town of Alba. They cannot be reliably farmed on demand because they appear only when soil, moisture, temperature, tree roots, and seasonal conditions align. During the short season from autumn into early winter, trained dogs move through the forests with their handlers, searching for the powerful scent hidden beneath the soil. When a dog finds one, the truffle must be carefully lifted without damaging the surrounding ground. The outside is pale and rough, while the firm inside is crossed with fine marble-like veins. Its smell is the main reason chefs value it so highly. People describe it as earthy, garlicky, cheesy, musky, and slightly sweet all at once. The aroma begins fading soon after the truffle is removed from the ground, so fresh pieces are shipped quickly to restaurants and buyers around the world. Prices change with weather, size, shape, and quality, and large examples are especially valuable. Because chefs can shave broad slices over pasta, risotto, eggs, or potatoes, they are usually served raw because strong heat can destroy the aroma. For centuries, people have treated truffles as mysterious objects, and ancient writers sometimes connected their sudden appearance to storms, thunder, or hidden forces beneath the earth. Today, strict harvesting rules exist to protect the forests because careless digging can damage the delicate natural system that allows them to grow. Deep in the Wuyi Mountains of China, the Hong Pao tea has a reputation that sounds almost impossible. The most famous leaves once came from only a small group of ancient mother trees growing on steep, rocky cliffs. Their name means big red robe, and one traditional story says that a sick scholar was given tea by a monk while traveling to an important examination. After recovering and later becoming successful, he returned and covered the tea bushes with his red robe as a sign of gratitude. The story helped turn the tea into a symbol of honor, healing, and imperial prestige. The original trees produced very little, and their mineral-rich cliff environment gave the leaves a flavor that was difficult to copy. Tea from those trees was eventually removed from normal commercial sale in order to preserve them, but before that happened, tiny quantities were sold for astonishing prices. One famous sale placed the value of the tea at tens of thousands of dollars per gram. The finished drink has a clear amber or orange color, a roasted fragrance, a floral edge, and a sweetness that remains in the mouth long after swallowing. High-quality leaves can be brewed repeatedly, with each infusion revealing a slightly different balance of mineral, wood, fruit, and flower-like notes. Farmers later propagated bushes from original cuttings, but the best descendants are still graded by location, processing, and roasting skill. This tea is expensive, not simply because it tastes good, but because buyers are paying for a connection to a protected place. An old story, and one of the most famous traditions in Chinese tea culture. Ayam Cemani chickens from Indonesia look as if every part of them has been darkened with ink. Their feathers, skin, comb, wattles, muscles, bones, and many internal tissues carry unusually heavy black pigmentation caused by a genetic condition known as fibromelanosis. In bright light, the black feathers can show metallic green, purple, or blue reflections. The breed is strongly associated with the island of Java and has existed there for generations, where it was linked to ceremony, status, prosperity, and spiritual belief. Because fully pigmented birds are difficult to breed consistently, the best examples can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars in specialist markets. Breeders examine bloodline, body shape, feathers, legs, and the darkness of the mouth and tissues, because incomplete pigmentation lowers the bird's value. The meat is leaner and firmer than ordinary supermarket chicken, with a deeper, more game-like flavor. Some people describe it as richer and more savory, though it is not commonly available through large food suppliers. Most are purchased from specialist breeders and are kept for rarity and appearance rather than eaten. One surprising detail is that the eggs are not black. They are usually cream-colored, sometimes with a faint pink tone, which makes them look almost ordinary beside the dramatic color of the bird. Even after cooking, the skin and meat remain unusually dark, giving the finished dish a striking appearance. Its price comes from more than flavor. It is the combination of genetics, limited supply, cultural history, breeding difficulty, and visual rarity that makes the Ayam Cemani one of the most unusual chickens in the world. Almas caviar sits at the highest level of an already expensive food. It comes from extremely rare albino beluga sturgeon, traditionally associated with the Caspian Sea region. Beluga sturgeon are ancient, slow-growing fish that can live for many decades, and females may take around 20 years or longer before producing eggs. The fish used for the rarest pale caviar are exceptionally old, often many decades beyond maturity. Their eggs are not the dark gray or black color most people imagine when they think of caviar. Instead, they can appear pale silver, ivory, light gold, or almost translucent. The word Almas means diamond in Persian, which reflects both the appearance and the price. A kilogram can cost tens of thousands of dollars. The eggs are large, soft, and delicate, with a clean pop against the tongue. The flavor is buttery, lightly salty, creamy, and long-lasting, without the sharp fishiness found in lower quality roe. Older fish are believed to produce eggs with a more refined and gentle taste, which is one reason age matters so much to collectors in luxury restaurants. It is usually served in very small amounts, often with chilled champagne or vodka. Special spoons made from mother of pearl, horn, or another neutral material are used because metal can affect the taste. Beluga sturgeon have faced overfishing, habitat loss, and illegal trade, so production and sale are heavily controlled and legal sourcing matters. Almas caviar represents a strange meeting point between natural rarity, extreme patience, tradition, conservation, and luxury display. Black Ivory coffee is made through one of the most unusual production methods in the food world. In northern Thailand, coffee cherries are fed to Asian elephants, and after the fruit passes through their digestive system, the beans are collected, washed, dried, and roasted. The unusual process changes the chemistry of the coffee. Elephants are herbivores with long digestive systems, so the cherries remain inside them for many hours. During that time, enzymes and natural fermentation begin breaking down proteins in the beans that can contribute to bitterness. The final coffee is known for being unusually smooth, low in harsh acidity and gentle on the palate. Drinkers notice chocolate, malt, tamarind, spice, grass, or tea-like flavors with softness rather than aggressive strength. The price is extremely high because the yield is very low. Large amounts of fresh coffee cherries are needed to produce a small amount of finished beans, since many cherries are chewed, lost, damaged, or never recovered. Collection is labor-intensive, and every batch needs careful cleaning and processing. In luxury hotels, a single serving can cost around the price of an expensive meal, while whole beans can sell for well over $1,000 per kilogram. Supporters also point to elephant care programs, and ethical treatment is essential to the product's reputation. Buyers are therefore paying for scarcity, labor, novelty, animal care, and a flavor created by a biological process that cannot be easily reproduced in a factory. Saffron has been called red gold for thousands of years, and its price becomes easier to understand once the harvest is seen up close. The spice comes from the red stigmas inside the purple flower of Crocus sativus. Each flower produces only 3 usable threads, and they are so delicate that workers usually pick and separate them by hand. The flowers bloom briefly in autumn and fade quickly, so harvesting and processing must happen without delay. It can take roughly 150,000 or more flowers to produce a single kilogram of dried saffron. That means a small jar represents an enormous amount of land, time, and careful labor. For more than 3,000 years, saffron has been used in cooking, medicine, perfume, ceremony, and dyeing. Its flavor is difficult to compare with anything else. It is floral, earthy, lightly bitter, slightly sweet, and warm at the same time. Only a few threads are needed to give rice, soup, sauce, bread, or dessert a golden color and a deep fragrance. The finest saffron contains mostly dark red tips, with very little yellow material attached. Because it is so valuable, it is often mixed with cheaper fibers, colored plants, or artificial material. One simple sign of real saffron is that the threads release color gradually, turning warm water yellow while largely keeping their red shape. The plant is reproduced by dividing and replanting underground corms, making it dependent on human care. Machines still struggle to replace hand harvesting because the flowers bruise easily. The high price is therefore not based on image alone. It reflects one of the most labor-intensive harvests in agriculture. Densuke watermelons are grown on the Japanese island of Hokkaido and are famous for their smooth, nearly black skin. It was developed in Toma as farmers searched for a more valuable crop. It became one of Japan's best-known luxury fruits. The outside has very faint striping and a dark polished surface, while the inside is bright red, crisp, juicy, and usually sweeter than an ordinary watermelon. Farmers keep production limited and give each fruit careful attention. Water, temperature, spacing, and soil are controlled, and melons may be turned by hand for even skin color. Before sale, the surface is cleaned and polished, and high-grade examples are placed in decorative boxes. Only fruit that meets strict standards for shape, weight, appearance, sweetness, and texture can carry the official name. The first melons harvested each season are often sold at auction, where companies or wealthy buyers may pay thousands of dollars for a single fruit. Auction prices are partly promotional, but premium examples still cost far more than ordinary watermelons. The appeal is not only sweetness. In Japan, flawless fruit is often used as a formal gift, especially when the giver wants to show respect, gratitude, or status. A perfect melon can be presented almost like jewelry with careful wrapping and a certificate showing where it was grown. Densuke watermelons also have fewer noticeable seeds and a firm bite that holds its shape cleanly when cut. Their value comes from limited regional production, strict grading, constant farm attention, and a gift culture that treats visual perfection as part of the eating experience. Pule cheese is produced in Serbia from the milk of Balkan donkeys, and almost every part of its creation makes it difficult and expensive. Donkeys give far less milk than cows, sheep, or goats, and must be handled carefully several times a day during a limited lactation period. It can take around 25 liters of milk to produce 1 kilogram of cheese, which explains why even a small wheel requires so much work. The cheese is closely associated with the Zasavica Nature Reserve, where the donkey herd is also part of a conservation effort to protect the breed. Donkey milk is naturally low in casein, the protein that normally helps milk form a firm curd, so turning it into cheese requires specialized knowledge and careful processing. The finished product is pale, crumbly, dry, and relatively firm. Its flavor is mild, clean, slightly sweet, and gently earthy rather than sharp or strongly sour. Some versions are smoked, adding a deeper aroma and a golden surface. A kilogram can sell for around $1,000, placing it among the most expensive cheeses by weight. The price is mostly a result of limited milk, high labor, low yield, and restricted production rather than decades of aging. Pule comes from a very small operation with little ability to increase supply. International attention has increased demand among collectors, chefs, and wealthy travelers. Buying it also supports the reserve and the survival of the donkey herd. So the cheese carries both a luxury story and a conservation story. It is rare because the animal itself is rare. The milk is scarce. The cheese is genuinely difficult to make. Vintage beef preserved by the Polmard family in France takes the idea of aging meat to an extreme. Most premium beef is dry-aged for weeks or months as moisture leaves and enzymes soften the meat. Polmard created a different system, sometimes described as hibernation. The beef is exposed to extremely cold air moving at high speed, freezing it very quickly and allowing selected cuts to be stored for years without following the normal pattern of spoilage. The cattle are raised with careful attention to calm handling, diet, and living conditions because stress can affect the meat. Some rare cuts have been held for more than a decade, including famous steaks connected to specific harvest years. A single rib steak from an old vintage can cost several $1,000s and may be served only by chefs trusted to prepare it correctly. The flavor is described as deep, nutty, earthy, and concentrated, with a tenderness that makes the meat feel almost soft enough to cut with very little pressure. Like old wine, the year, animal, storage method, and producer become part of the value. The family works selectively with chefs who understand how to present it without wasting its qualities. Critics may question whether the age alone justifies the price, but for collectors and diners seeking the rarest possible steak, the story is inseparable from the taste. It is beef treated not as an everyday food, but as a limited vintage that has been preserved in time. Yubari King melons are another example of how Japanese growers turn fruit into a luxury object. They are cultivated in Yubari, Hokkaido, and are produced from a carefully controlled hybrid variety. Volcanic soil drains well, while warm days and cool nights help build sweetness and aroma. Growers use greenhouses to control temperature, humidity, airflow, and water. Each plant is usually allowed to support only one melon, so all of its energy goes into that single fruit. Farmers support each melon to prevent flat spots, handle it carefully, and clean the patterned skin by hand. The ideal melon is perfectly round, with an even raised net across the surface and no visible flaws. Inside, the flesh is orange, soft, fragrant, and intensely sweet. The first pair of the season is often sold at auction for a huge price, sometimes reaching tens of thousands of dollars. These sales attract publicity, but top-quality retail melons can still cost hundreds of dollars. Every fruit is graded for sweetness, shape, aroma, and surface pattern. The best examples are boxed individually and given as formal gifts. The Yubari name is protected, so only melons grown in the correct region under the required standards can use it. The crop also became economically important after the area's coal industry declined, giving the town a new identity based on luxury agriculture. Buyers are paying for taste, but they are also paying for a nearly flawless object shaped by weeks of careful human attention. Ruby Roman grapes from Ishikawa Prefecture were created after years of selective breeding, aimed at producing unusually large, sweet, beautiful red grapes. Researchers tested many vines before finding the desired combination of size, color, texture, and sugar. When the grapes entered the market, they immediately attracted attention because individual berries could be as large as ping-pong balls. To be sold under the official name, every grape in a bunch must meet strict standards. The berries need to reach a minimum weight, show the correct deep red color, and contain a high level of sweetness. Premium bunches face even tougher requirements, and only a tiny share of the harvest may qualify. Farmers thin clusters, trim leaves, position the fruit for even color, and may use digital tools to track light and ripeness. The result is a grape with thin skin, abundant juice, and a strong burst of sweetness when bitten. High-grade bunches are displayed in department stores with the same care used for watches or jewelry. Auction prices can rise above $10,000 for an exceptional bunch, making individual grapes worth hundreds of dollars in the most extreme cases. Approved grapes remain expensive because production is limited and inspection is strict. Their value is built on years of research, controlled licensing, labor-intensive farming, and the willingness to reject fruit that would be considered excellent by normal standards. Like the melons and watermelons of Hokkaido, Ruby Roman grapes show that luxury food is often created not only by rarity in nature, but also by human decisions to pursue perfection at almost any cost. Across all of these foods, the same pattern appears again and again. The price rises when supply is tiny, production is slow, harvesting depends on hand labor, the product cannot be easily copied, and the story carries cultural meaning. Wealthy buyers are not only purchasing flavor, they are purchasing time, risk, rarity, craftsmanship, status, and the chance to experience something that may exist in only a few places on Earth.